From his penthouse overlooking Central Park, Richard Sterling, a titan of Wall Street, stared at the cream-colored wedding invitation. Stella, his Stella, was marrying someone else. Betrayal burned, but Richard Sterling didn't do weakness. He needed a move, something audacious, something that screamed indifference. His eyes landed on Chloe Miller, his maid, quietly organizing papers in his study. Young, undeniably beautiful, and with an unassuming grace, Chloe was perfect. "Chloe, come here," Richard commanded, his voice sharp. Chloe hesitated, placing the papers down, approaching with cautious politeness. "Mr. Sterling, I need you to accompany me to an event." Chloe's brows furrowed. "Mr. Sterling, I'm your maid," Richard chuckled, a short, dismissive sound. "This isn't a request, Chloe, it's an opportunity, a generous one." He named a sum that made Chloe's breath catch. It could wipe out her debts, fund her dreams. 2 years working for him, she knew his imperious manner, but this was unexpected. "Why me?" she dared to ask. Richard's gaze was direct, almost piercing. "You're uncomplicated, discreet." He paused, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes, different from their world. An insult wrapped in a backhanded compliment, but Chloe swallowed her pride. "All right," she agreed, her voice barely a whisper. "One night." A satisfied smile touched Richard's lips. "Excellent. We have work to do." As Chloe left, a knot of unease tightened in her stomach. What had she just agreed to? The next morning, a sleek black town car whisked Chloe away to a boutique on Fifth Avenue. A stylist, as formidable as Richard himself, greeted her with a critical eye. "Miss Miller, transformation time." Racks of designer dresses, shoes that scraped the sky, and glittering jewels appeared. Chloe felt like a character in a movie, a world away from her own. Richard arrived, his scrutiny intense. "Sophisticated, not artificial," he decreed. Chloe dared to suggest something comfortable. Richard's laugh was curt. "Comfort is irrelevant, Chloe. Impression is everything." Hours later, after endless fittings, Richard approved a black gown that sculpted Chloe's figure, highlighting her natural beauty. She looked at herself in the mirror, a stranger staring back. "This is it," Richard declared, admiring his handiwork. "All this for what?" Chloe asked, hesitant. Richard's eyes hardened. "Stella must believe you are my choice." "No doubt." Stella. The name hung in the air, the unspoken reason for this elaborate charade. Days blurred into a whirlwind of etiquette lessons. Posture, poise, champagne flutes. Chloe was molded into a society swan. "I can hold a glass," she protested after another shattered flute. Richard, observing from a distance, simply shook his head. "Impress, Chloe, don't be average." Exhausted, irritated, Chloe finally snapped. "Why is this so vital to you, Richard? You have everything." A flicker of something vulnerable crossed his face, quickly masked. "Some things can't be bought, Chloe. It's personal." The answer was evasive, but Chloe didn't push. There was a storm brewing beneath Richard's polished surface. Wedding night. Richard, unusually somber, issued his final command. "All eyes will be on us. No mistakes." Chloe, weary from the relentless training, met his gaze. "Why, Richard? Stella's just your ex." A cold smile touched his lips. "Stella isn't just my ex, Chloe. She dared to think she could replace me." In that moment, Chloe saw past the millionaire facade to the raw insecurity beneath. This wasn't about love, it was about ego, control, proving he was irreplaceable. "This is all ego, then?" she challenged. Richard's eyes narrowed. "Just stick to the plan, Chloe." The air crackled with tension, but Chloe held her tongue. Her patience was about to be tested beyond measure. Wedding day dawned like a movie set. Hair, makeup, the fairy tale dress. Chloe was transformed. Looking in the mirror, the plan, Richard, Stella, all faded. She felt powerful. Richard found her impeccably tailored, and for the first time, Chloe saw past the arrogance to a striking man. "Adequate," he said, feigning indifference, a faint smile betraying him. "Thanks," Chloe replied, a hint of sarcasm in her voice. In the limo, silence pressed between them. Nerves fluttered in Chloe's stomach. She was stepping into a world not hers, beside a man who seemed incapable of genuine emotion. They arrived. Richard turned, his gaze intense. "Remember, Chloe, today you are my partner. Act like you own this world." Chloe met his eyes. "I don't need to act, Richard. I just need to survive it." Stepping from the car, whispers erupted. All eyes were on them. The black dress, her practiced poise, it was working. Richard, radiating his usual superiority, walked beside her, but tonight there was something else, something like pride. Chloe was in alien territory. Power players, socialites, minor celebrities. Stella, the bride, laughed with friends, oblivious for now. Chloe's chest tightened, not with fear, but displacement. "Don't let them intimidate you," Richard murmured, as if reading her mind. Head high, Chloe walked into the reception. An older man, all smiles, approached. "Richard, didn't expect you, and such a charming companion." Richard shook his hand. "Of course, George. Stella and I have history." Chloe's eyebrow arched, but she remained silent. A practiced smile plastered on her face. Dinner was a blur of shallow conversations, Richard gliding through it with practiced ease. Chloe struggled to keep up. Then, Stella arrived, radiant in white, her smile sharp. "Richard, surprise!" She assessed Chloe, eyes narrowed. "And who's your friend?" Before Richard could answer, Chloe extended a hand. "Chloe, pleasure to meet you, Stella." Stella seemed taken aback by Chloe's confidence, but shook her hand. "Pleasure's mine. Didn't expect Michael to bring someone so charming." Richard cut in, irritation simmering beneath his polished veneer. "Chloe's been an amazing companion. She understands me in ways few people ever could." Stella's eyes narrowed further, studying Chloe. "Interesting. We should talk later, Chloe. Get to know you." Chloe nodded, but knew the invitation was anything but innocent. As the night wore on, Chloe felt increasingly exposed. Whispers, glances, veiled mockery. "Focus on the money, focus on the exit," she told herself. During the dance, Richard extended a hand. "You're doing well. Dance with me." "Dance?" Chloe hesitated. Richard pulled her onto the floor. "Trust me." He moved with surprising grace, guiding her. Chloe stumbled, then found the rhythm. In the dance, his eyes locked on hers, and for a moment, everything else faded. "Better than expected," Richard murmured, breaking the silence. Chloe laughed, a nervous flutter in her chest. "And you dance better than I imagined." Stella's voice cut through the fragile moment. "Michael, may I steal your date?" Richard hesitated, then nodded. "Sure, don't be long." Stella led Chloe to a secluded corner, a calculated smile playing on her lips. "So, Chloe," she began, arms crossed. "What's your story? Where did Richard find you?" "Sorry, I don't understand." Chloe kept her voice steady. "Oh, you understand." Stella stepped closer. "Richard always had a knack for acquiring pieces. You seem convenient." Chloe's blood simmered, but she kept her composure. "I think Richard should answer for his choices." Stella chuckled softly. "He always liked a challenge. Good luck, dear." Chloe returned to the table, unease settling in her stomach. Richard noticed immediately. "Stella say something?" he asked, concern flickering in his eyes. "Nothing I couldn't handle," Chloe deflected. Later, during the speeches, Richard shifted uncomfortably as everyone lauded Stella and her new husband. His jaw tightened. When their eyes met, Chloe offered a small, reassuring smile. Richard looked away but seemed less rigid. Finally, the night ended. As they walked to the car, Richard broke the silence. "You were better than expected." "Thanks," Chloe replied flatly. "No, I mean it." He hesitated, searching for words. "You were perfect." Chloe didn't know how to respond, a strange warmth blooming in her chest. Beneath the arrogance, beneath the control, there were glimpses of something else, something human. But as the city lights blurred past, Chloe knew one night had changed everything, and the fallout was just beginning. The morning after, Chloe woke with a lingering unease. The wedding felt like a surreal dream. Richard's behavior was a puzzle, pride and insecurity warring within him, especially around Stella. Richard, however, plunged back into his routine, meetings with investors, business as usual. But whispers about his striking appearance with Chloe at the wedding spread like wildfire. Stella, seizing the opportunity, fanned the flames. To a key investor she purred, "Richard has always had a peculiar taste in alliances. Is she there on merit or convenience?" The rumor mill churned. Soon, an investor confronted Richard directly over lunch. "Your date, Chloe, right? Very determined. Something tells me she has ambitions beyond you." Richard, already raw from Stella's games, felt his pride prickle. He knew Chloe was no threat, but insecurity, fueled by the morning's gossip, made him lash out. That afternoon, Chloe was summoned to Richard's office. The atmosphere was charged. Richard sat behind his desk, eyes cold. "You wanted to see me?" Chloe asked, bracing herself. Richard looked up, tossing papers onto the desk. "These rumors. You talking to investors at the wedding. What exactly did you say?" Chloe was stunned. "Investors? I spoke to Stella and a few polite greetings. That's it." "And what exactly did you discuss?" He pressed, suspicion dripping from his voice. Chloe's temper flared. "Discuss, Richard? I acted exactly as you instructed. I was by your side the entire night, except when Stella pulled me aside." He slammed his hands on the desk. "Stella! Of course! She'd try something!" He was falling right into her trap. Chloe crossed her arms, incredulous. "You're blaming me for something I don't even know happened." "You went too far," he snapped, ignoring her protests. "I trusted you with a simple task, and you couldn't help but draw attention." The accusation stung. "Are you saying my presence hurt you? You're the one who put me in this position." Richard took a breath, struggling for control, but anger surged. "Chloe, it's best we end this. Consider yourself dismissed." Chloe froze. "Dismissed? You're firing me?" "That's right. Our dynamic no longer works." The words were a slap. Pride warred with humiliation. Arguing was pointless. "Fine," she said, head held high, though inside she was devastated. It wasn't just the job. It was the casual dismissal, the implication she was disposable. "If that's your decision, I accept it. But know this, Richard, you're making a huge mistake." She turned and walked out, dignity intact, heart shattered. The days after felt like a cold, sharp wind. Anger simmered, but Chloe knew she had to move on. Savings dwindled. Defeat was not an option. Fueled by indignation, she turned to a long-held dream: sustainable decor. Recycled materials, her creativity unleashed, she crafted a small collection. Social media buzzed. Within weeks, her work gained traction, orders trickling in, then a flood. Meanwhile, Richard's world was fracturing. Stella's whispers, wedding rumors, insecurity gnawing at his credibility. Though he'd never admit it, Chloe haunted his thoughts. Her quiet strength, the defiance in her eyes as she walked out. It was a stark contrast to the sycophants surrounding him. One morning, sifting through financial reports, an email headline snagged his attention. A design website praising a rising entrepreneur, Chloe Miller. He clicked the link, scrolling through images of her creations. Innovative, personal, a reflection of her spirit. A strange mix of admiration and unease twisted in his gut. Chloe was thriving, independent, while his own life felt increasingly hollow. That evening at a business gala, Richard felt detached, adrift. Someone mentioned Chloe's name. It was everywhere, her quiet influence inescapable. He had to see her. Chloe worked relentlessly, orders piling up, her tiny living room studio overflowing. Exhaustion was constant, but so was a sense of purpose, of finally being in control. Then, a message alert. Her heart leaped. Richard. Silence for weeks, now this. What did he want? Disregarding the message, Chloe plunged back into work, but Richard's message gnawed at him. Chloe had ignored him. It bothered him more than he cared to admit. He rationalized it as mere curiosity. It wasn't every day someone he'd fired rose so quickly, so independently, but it was more than that. The memory of her defiant gaze, her quiet strength, it was a constant, unsettling presence. "Mr. Sterling," his assistant interrupted, "the investor meeting is scheduled for tomorrow." Richard nodded absently, his mind still locked on Chloe. He needed to see her, face to face. Not to apologize, apologies weren't his style, but to understand. How had she bounced back so fiercely? The next morning, a knock. Chloe's heart hammered. "Richard." She took a breath, opening the door. "What are you doing here?" she asked, arms crossed. Richard, impeccably dressed, a softer edge to his usual sharpness. "We need to talk, Chloe." A humorless laugh escaped her lips. "You made your opinions clear, Richard. Nothing to discuss." "I was wrong," he said, surprising her. "About a lot of things." Chloe's eyebrow arched, skeptical. "An apology?" He hesitated, then nodded, almost imperceptibly. "In a way, I was impulsive. Unfair." "Impulsive and unfair," she repeated, sarcasm dripping. "You accuse me of something I didn't do, humiliated me, fired me without a word of explanation." Richard lowered his gaze, discomfort radiating from him. "I know, I was a jerk." Chloe took a deep breath, fighting to stay composed. "Why are you here, Richard? Another pawn for your games?" He shook his head, frustration etched on his face. No, that's not it. I saw what you're doing, Chloe, your work. It's amazing. I had to see you. And? She prompted, her voice hard. Want to take credit for my success now? Richard recoiled, as if struck. No, I just wanted to say, I admire what you've done. You got back up, after what I did. Sincerity flickered in his voice, disarming her for a moment. She studied him, trying to decipher his motives. Richard, the unshakable titan, stood before her, vulnerable, almost admiring. Doesn't change anything, Richard, Chloe said firmly. I built this myself. Without anyone's help, you were just an obstacle. He nodded, accepting her words. I know, but I hope one day you'll forgive me. Chloe didn't respond, simply closed the door, leaving Richard standing alone on her doorstep. Days turned into weeks. Chloe buried herself in work, trying to erase the encounter, but Richard lingered in her thoughts, his unexpected apology, the vulnerability in his eyes. Richard, in turn, became obsessed with making amends. He delved into Chloe's world, recognizing the positive impact of her work, the genuine passion behind it. Inspired, he shifted his focus, exploring sustainable ventures, something utterly foreign to his previous world. In a meeting with investors, he surprised them, pitching a proposal to fund small, innovative, sustainable businesses. We need projects that make a difference, he declared, shocking even himself. Meanwhile, an unexpected invitation landed in Chloe's inbox, showcase her work at a local design event, her first real public platform. Nerves warred with excitement. Event night. Arranging her pieces, a familiar presence behind her. Richard. What are you doing here? She asked, surprised. Supporting you, he replied, sincerity ringing in his voice. And before you say anything, I'm not here to steal your moment. Chloe crossed her arms, skepticism lingering. Why? Because I believe in you, he said simply. The words, unexpected, disarmingly honest. Chloe studied him, searching for ulterior motives, finding only honesty. You're persistent, Richard, she conceded, but I still don't know if I can trust you. A small smile touched his lips. I don't expect you to. I just hope for a chance to show you I can be better. The event was a triumph. Compliments, connections, potential clients swarmed Chloe's booth. Reluctantly, she admitted Richard's presence had amplified the buzz. As the night wound down, he approached again. If you ever need help expanding, know I'm willing to invest. Chloe shook her head. I don't need your money, Richard. If I ever accept your help, it'll be because I trust you, not because I need you. Richard nodded, respecting her boundary. Then I'll work to earn your trust. For the first time, Chloe saw something different in him. Maybe, just maybe, he was genuinely changing. The showcase was a turning point, professionally and personally. Opportunities blossomed. Michael's unexpected support, however, remained a puzzle. She tried to dismiss him, but his presence, his sincerity kept resurfacing. Days blurred into weeks, new orders, collaborations, a whirlwind of activity. Yet, Richard's presence lingered, a constant, unsettling undercurrent. Then, her phone rang. Unknown number. Chloe Miller? A voice asked. Sarah from Urban Deco Designs. We'd like to invite you to lead a project, a collaboration with a high-profile company. Your work is exactly what we're looking for. Chloe's breath hitched. Urban Deco Designs, a top sustainable firm, partnering with major brands. I'd love to, she managed. Which company? Carter Enterprises. The name slammed into her, stealing her breath. Carter Enterprises. Richard. The irony was almost cruel. I need to think about it, she stammered, trying to sound professional. Of course. It's a huge opportunity. Let us know by tomorrow. Chloe hung up, reeling. Working with Richard meant confronting everything she was trying to leave behind. But the opportunity, it was massive. Morning arrived, bringing a decision, a message to Sarah confirming her participation. Hours later, project details, a meeting request at Carter Enterprises headquarters. Towering building, glass and steel, a monument to Richard's world. Nerves and determination warred within her. This wasn't personal. This was business. Elevator rising, heart pounding. Assistant greeting her, leading her to the meeting room, and there he was, Richard, standing by a table laden with reports, his gaze locking on hers. Surprise flickered, then a smile, hesitant, almost hopeful. Welcome, Chloe. She maintained her composure. I'm here for the project, Richard. Let's keep it professional. He nodded, respecting her distance. Of course. This is a partnership. Your ideas are critical. The meeting unfolded, objective, focused. Richard presenting the project, a sustainable corporate building. Chloe taking notes, professional, detached, though she noticed Richard subtly highlighting her input, a stark contrast to his previous dismissiveness. Meeting adjourned, Richard walked her to the exit. "Thank you for agreeing to work with us," he said, sincerity in his voice. "I'm here because the project matters," Chloe replied, "but that doesn't erase the past." Richard sighed, understanding. "I know, but I hope in time we can start fresh." Chloe didn't reply, simply nodded and walked away, determined to keep her focus on the work. Days melted into weeks, Chloe immersed in the project, leading the creative team with fierce determination. Her dedication resonated. Interactions with Richard remained strictly professional, yet he was different, collaborative, less domineering. One meeting, Chloe presented a bold interior design concept. An investor voiced concern. "Risky. Why trust this approach?" Before Chloe could respond, Richard intervened. "Because I trust her work. Chloe has the vision. If she believes this is the best direction, I support it." Richard's public endorsement startled Chloe, but she remained composed, calmly defending her proposal, ultimately winning over the investors. After the meeting, she confronted him. "Why did you do that?" "Because it was the right thing to do," he replied, as if obvious. "And since when do you care about what's right?" Chloe retorted, challenging him. A small smile touched Richard's lips. "Since I realized I was wrong about a lot of things." Chloe didn't know how to respond, his sincerity unsettling. As the project progressed, their dynamics subtly shifted. Richard became more open. Chloe, reluctantly, began to see a different side of him. Small gestures, bringing coffee, praising her work publicly. One afternoon, after a grueling day, Richard invited her to dinner. "Nothing professional," he clarified, sensing her hesitation. "Just conversation. Two people." Chloe hesitated, then agreed. Restaurant dimmed, conversation flowed. Richard spoke of childhood, business pressures, even regret. "I always thought success was everything," he confessed thoughtfully. "But lately, it feels hollow." "Success is meaningless without someone to share it with," Chloe replied without thinking. Richard looked at her, surprised by the depth of her words. "You're right." Their eyes met, an intense, unspoken connection. Chloe looked away, maintaining emotional distance. Too soon to lower her guard. Next day, a surprise. One of Chloe's decor pieces featured in the project splashed across a design magazine. Richard made sure to publicly celebrate her achievement, amplifying her visibility. Yet, a nagging unease persisted. Richard's transformation felt intense, almost too perfect. Was it genuine, or another carefully constructed facade? As the project neared completion, Chloe knew the ultimate test loomed. Could she truly trust Richard? Chloe stood in the conference room presenting the project's progress. Confidence radiated from her, earned through months of relentless work. Investors, initially skeptical, were now captivated by her vision. Richard, at the head of the table, watched silently, his gaze unwavering. Not just professional admiration, but something deeper. Meeting adjourned, Richard approached. "You're doing an amazing job," he said as they walked down the hall. "Thank you," Chloe replied, neutrally. Richard hesitated. "You know, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about success, and who you share it with." Chloe stopped, turning to him. "Richard, I'm here to work. Don't complicate things." He shook his head as if fighting back words. "Right, but someday, maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to show you." Chloe didn't respond, walking away, a strange tremor in her chest. Project nearing completion, Chloe noticed irregularities in financial reports. Budget cuts contradicting the sustainability ethos Richard championed. Something was amiss. That afternoon, she confronted him. "Richard, we need to talk." He looked up, surprised. "What's wrong?" Chloe placed the reports on his desk. "These numbers, they don't make sense. How can we preach sustainability while cutting corners?" Richard scanned the reports, silence stretching taut. "I'll check with finance," he said, but a flicker of evasion betrayed him. "You knew, didn't you?" Chloe asked, frustration rising. He put down the papers, a deep breath escaping him. "It wasn't easy, Chloe, but we need to balance the budget." Chloe stared, incredulous. Sacrificing integrity to appease investors? "It's not that simple," Richard protested, uncomfortable. Principles, Richard, Chloe retorted, voice sharp. If you don't believe in this project is a sham. Richard fell silent, visibly shaken. That night, Chloe delved deeper, researching companies involved in the project. Long-standing ties to Richard's father surfaced. Next day, another confrontation. Richard, why this project? It's not just sustainability, is it? He avoided her gaze. Doesn't matter now. It does, Richard, Chloe insisted. If you want my trust, honesty now. Richard finally relented, closing his eyes, then speaking, a confession tumbling out. This project, it's atonement for my father. Profit above all else. It hurt people. I grew up thinking that's how it was, but I don't want to repeat his mistakes. Chloe listened, absorbing his words, vulnerability exposed. Then, do it differently, she said softly. Prove you're better. Days followed, Richard restructuring the budget, risking investor backlash. Chloe saw it, the genuine effort to change, but a wall still stood between them. Working side by side, barriers began to crumble. Chloe shared her past, her family struggles, her dream of purpose-driven design. Richard spoke of his father's shadow, Stella's betrayal, how Chloe had shaken his world. You made me realize success means nothing without people who matter, he confessed. Chloe's heart fluttered, but she remained guarded. Change takes time, Richard. Actions, not words. I will, he vowed. Project showcase. Stella appeared, a viper in designer clothes. Looks like you gained more than a job, she hissed, smile venomous. Chloe kept her voice steady. I earned my place, Stella. Stella laughed. Richard's charming, but commitment? Ego drives him. Good luck changing that. Stella's words, poison darts. Later, Richard, concerned, approached. Stella bothering you? She has a talent for unpleasantness. Richard sighed. Don't let her get to you. She's always trying to hurt me. Thinks targeting you will do it. Why me? Chloe challenged, eyes locking with his. Why am I important to you? Silence hung heavy. Because you are, Richard said finally. Simple words, profound weight. Chloe felt a tremor, but wasn't ready to trust. Not yet. Days blurred. Chloe focused on work, but Richard's words echoed. He was trying. Action spoke louder than words. He was shifting. One morning, a message. Richard. Come to the building, something to show you. Hesitation, then curiosity. Richard greeted her. Rooftop terrace. Transformed. Lush garden, serene retreat. I wanted this project to have something special, Richard explained. Something representing what I learned from you. Chloe's breath caught. It's beautiful, Richard. But this isn't just about the project, he continued, his voice softer. It's about you. Chloe's pulse quickened. Richard. I know I have a long way to go, he interrupted, but I want to walk that path with you, if you'll let me. His words, raw, honest. Chloe felt walls crumbling. Maybe, she whispered. Maybe I can give it a chance. A small, hopeful smile touched Richard's lips. Nothing worthwhile is easy, Chloe. Their partnership deepened, cautiously, tentatively. Chloe remained watchful. The terrace, a symbol of change, but trust wasn't built overnight. Richard, determined, demonstrated his transformation. Weeks passed, project gaining acclaim, Chloe's star rising. Events, interviews, collaborations, a whirlwind. Richard ensured she took center stage, her talent, her vision celebrated. Yet something still felt off. Richard was trying too hard, almost frantic, making up for past sins too quickly. Was it genuine remorse or just another performance? One day, Richard requested Chloe accompany him to an investor meeting. I won't present without you, he insisted. Chloe hesitated, then agreed. Elegant restaurant, influential investors, all eyes on Chloe as she presented. Richard watched, admiration radiating from him. Meeting concluded, an investor remarked, Richard, you found a gem. Passion, authenticity, rare these days. Richard smiled. She's unique. Compliment genuine, but Chloe felt a prickle of unease. Not Richard's discovery, her own force. Later in the car, Chloe spoke. Richard, I appreciate it, but my work, my achievements, they aren't tied to you. Richard seemed surprised, then nodded. Understood, and I'll make sure everyone knows that. He was listening. Relief washed over Chloe. Project nearing completion, a crisis, supplier delay, jeopardizing deadlines, emergency meeting. Can't let this derail us, Richard declared. Chloe, ideas. Analyzing reports, Chloe proposed a local, reliable supplier, pricier but dependable. Richard didn't hesitate. Make it happen. Costs we'll handle later. Risk, but values prioritized. Chloe watched, a flicker of admiration igniting. Post-crisis, Richard shifted. Less public image, more project integrity, small gestures, sincere compliments, ethical choices, even admitting mistakes. One evening, reviewing final details, Richard confessed, "Working with you, it made me realize something." Chloe looked up, curious. What? Years chasing everyone else's expectations. Father, investors, Stella, but you never expected anything, just honesty. Chloe, silent, absorbing his words. And are you being honest now? Richard nodded, a small smile. For the first time, I think I am. Project inauguration, grand affair, industry titans, media frenzy. Chloe and Richard side by side, accolades pouring in. Night felt perfect, yet something unresolved. Mid-event, Richard pulled her aside. "Chloe, something I've been wanting to say." She looked at him puzzled. "What is it?" Richard took a breath. "Without you, Chloe, this project, my growth, it all started because of you. You changed me." Chloe felt a tremor. "Richard, I don't know. I know. Trust takes time," he interrupted. "But I want you to know how much I admire you, not just professionally, but as a person." Chloe speechless. Stella materialized, a calculated smile. "Impressive, Chloe. Found your place?" "I earned it," Chloe replied, refusing to be baited. Stella turned to Richard. "Still proving something to me, Michael?" Richard's tone hardened. "Stella, I have nothing to prove to you, and Chloe needs no approval to be here." Chloe watched, unease tightening. Stella's words, poison darts. Later, Richard, outside, gazing at the skyline, weariness etched on his face. "Intense night," Chloe said, approaching. "Understatement," he replied, a faint smile. "You were amazing." "Thank you." But Stella's words. Richard sighed. "Stella knows where to strike. Can't stand I'm changing. Thinks targeting you will hurt me." "And why would that hurt you?" Chloe challenged, locking eyes with him. Silence. Then, Richard's voice. Quiet, firm. "Because you are." A moment hung between them. Then, Richard continued. "Chloe, when I fired you, thought I was protecting myself. Pushed away the only person who made me question who I was. You showed me a different way." His words, raw, vulnerable. Chloe felt her defenses waver. "Change is more than words, Richard. It's actions." "Then let me show you," he vowed. Chloe hesitated. Part of her wanted to believe, another part, still trapped in the past. "We'll see," she said finally. Days following, Carter Enterprises transformed. Sustainable initiatives, ethical partnerships, Richard walking the walk. Chloe watched, a consistent change emerging. One afternoon, reviewing final presentation details, Richard surprised her. "Chloe, know this. Whatever happens between us, this project, it's because of you." She looked at him, searching for insincerity, finding none. "Thank you," she replied genuinely. Richard hesitated. "I know, a lot to prove. But if you'll let me, I want to try." Chloe wavered. Richard's intentions seemed genuine, but fear still held her back. Project launch, a grand event, media frenzy. Michael, host, insisting Chloe be by his side. "You're the soul of this," he said. Chloe agreed, one condition. "My role earned on merit, not tied to your past." Richard nodded, understanding. "Agreed. You earned this." Event morning, Chloe arriving early, flawless building, her vision realized. Pride and anxiety warred within. Richard arrived, impeccably dressed, a relaxed demeanor, but something else, vulnerability. "Nervous?" he asked, approaching. "A little," she admitted. "And you?" "Always," he smiled. "But you being here, easier." Chloe looked away, his words unsettlingly warm. Event began. Speeches, presentations, Chloe taking the stage, sharing her journey. Glancing at the audience, Richard, front row, pride radiating from him. "This project isn't just sustainability," she concluded. "It's about showing, working together, believing in impact. We can create something meaningful." Applause erupted. Richard first to his feet, investors joining. Pride surged, but the night was far from over. Reception, Chloe swarmed, questions, connections. Attention drifting to Richard, across the room, investors surrounding him. A moment alone, Stella materialized. Well, Chloe, impressed. Congratulations. Thank you, Chloe kept composure. But does Michael really changed? Or still playing games? Chloe paused. Stella's tone, calculated doubt. Not your judgment that matters, Stella. Mine. Stella chuckled, walking away, leaving Chloe with unsettling thoughts. Richard approached. Stella's poison again? Chloe sighed. Just reminded me doubts linger. Richard silent, then, I understand. Honestly, I'd have doubts too, in your place. Chloe surprised by his honesty. Have you really changed, Richard, or just manipulation? I have, he said firmly. But don't expect belief on words alone. I want to prove it. Chloe didn't reply, just looked away, sorting through the tangled emotions. Night ending, Richard walked her to the exit. Thank you, Chloe, for tonight, for everything. Project wouldn't have been possible without you. Chloe smiled, shy, meaningful. You're doing well, Richard, but not over yet, he chuckled softly. I know. Days following, Richard continued to surprise. Social projects, young entrepreneurs, sustainable initiatives. Genuine belief, not performance. One afternoon, studio, message from Richard. Building, something to show you. Rooftop, Richard waiting. Transformed terrace, lush garden, mural depicting stories of lives touched by the project. Thought, way to remember why we started, he explained. Chloe's eyes welled. It's amazing, Richard. He looked at her, sincere smile. Just like you. Gazing at mural, Chloe realized maybe, just maybe, she could finally trust him. Project aftermath, calm reflection for Chloe. Building operational, accolades pouring in. Her name, globally recognized. Beyond dreams. Richard, more distant. New projects, meetings. Intentionally giving her space. Studio, invitation to speak at International Design Conference. Massive opportunity, but weeks away. Talk to Richard first. Carter Enterprises lobby, Richard's office. Surprised to see her. Chloe, everything okay? Yes, she replied. But wanted to tell you something. Richard gestured for her to continue. Conference invitation. Huge opportunity, but weeks away. Richard silent, then smiled. Amazing, Chloe. You should go. Relief washed over Chloe. Thank you. Just wanted you to know. Richard nodded. I'm rooting for you, always. Sincerity caught her off guard, warmth in her chest unspoken. Conference, career milestone, renowned professionals, shared stories, collaborations. Speaking, she realized, Richard's leadership lessons, his vision woven into everything. Success, but a void. Hotel nights, thoughts drifting to Richard, his words, his gaze. Return to city, straight to Carter Enterprises. Late, but knew he'd be there. Office, alone, reports scattered. Richard looked up, surprised, then smiled. Chloe, didn't expect you back today. Just got in, she said, closing the door. But needed to see you. He stood, concern etched on his face. Something wrong? Yes. Chloe's voice trembled. Realized something important while away. Richard silent, watching, vulnerability in his eyes. What is it? Chloe stepped closer, finding words. During this trip, realize how much you've changed, Richard. No longer arrogant, distant, and realized no matter how hard I fought it, I fell in love with you. Words rushed out, long overdue. Richard stilled, processing, then stepped forward, closing the gap. Chloe, no idea how long I've waited. Voice husky with emotion, gently holding her hands. I fell in love with you a long time ago. You changed everything. Made me want to be better. What I built before, meaningless, without something real. Chloe's eyes welled, but she didn't look away. Michael, I was afraid. Trusting, opening up, hurt, but I don't want to run anymore. Michael leaned in, kissing her, a kiss years in the making, emotion pouring forth. Pulling away, he smiled. Chloe, you transformed me. Not just business, but me. I want to walk beside you, not just today, always. Be my girlfriend? Chloe laughed, tears still glistening, cupping his face. Yes, Michael, yes. Months blossomed. Chloe and Richard building something real. Trust, respect, love. Richard's small gestures, constant. Chloe, learning to trust fully. Dreams expanding, Chloe's brand soaring, Richard diving into social projects. Sustainable initiatives, her values now his. Special night, new space opening, designed together. Richard, hand in hand with Chloe, crowd applauding. Looking into her eyes, emotional smile. Chloe, you changed my life. Want to build more than projects. Build a life. Before she could answer, kneeling, small box, elegant ring. Marry me? Tears streamed down Chloe's face. Yes, Michael, yes. Wedding, quiet, meaningful, closest friends, family. Not just new phase, but confirmation. True love, born in unexpected places. Honeymoon, watching horizon, hand in hand, Chloe felt peace she'd never known. Challenges ahead, but together, she'd learned to love, to trust. Do you think Chloe was right to forgive and marry Michael? Leave your opinion in the comments. Rate the story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to keep up with all our stories and check out more exciting stories by clicking here on the end screen.